This is Rubik's Cube, and in this video, I'm gonna tell you the story of how I learned the 6 pillars to get good at anything fast. And I'm gonna teach you how to use it to apply it to anything that you pursue. It all started about 1 year ago when my brother got his first Rubik's Cube. At the time, I didn't have one. And so after watching a few tutorials on how to solve them, he was already way better than me. And he let me know it. He wouldn't stop bragging about it. So I decided that I needed to get better than him. But there was an issue. Not only had he had so much more practice time on me, but he was still getting better every single day. So I needed the maximum possible growth that I could achieve in the shortest amount of time. And these 6 techniques helped me to absolutely destroy him and go from a time of 30 minutes to only 20 seconds to solve a Rubik's Cube. And in this video, I'm going to share those steps with you. These steps not only apply to this, but anything you can imagine, whether it's a textbook chapter in your maths homework, a new hobby, a skill, or your job. When I first started, I had nothing but a goal and a cube. So I needed to figure out how much time it would take me to do this, or at least how much time I needed to spend on this. And while I was researching, I found an idea, a theory called the 10,000 hour rule. Now when I first saw this, I was extremely worried because I didn't have 10,000 hours to spend cubing. But then I realized that this was for experts. And so luckily, I had more research to do. And that's when I came across it. I had to draw this. This is the learning curve. And as you can see, as your skill gets higher, the time also goes further. And here you can see that the time, as it goes on, the growth of the skill slows down. So there's a point in time where most of your growth happens and it takes the shortest amount of time. Now this time was 20 hours. 20 hours, I thought to myself. That is a good amount of time. It doesn't seem like too much, but neither too little. So I was quite optimistic. Now, I just need to do the math. And I found that that was only 45 minutes a day with a few days off in a whole month. It would take me only a month to get better. So I know how much time I need to spend on it. But what do I even do? I knew I had the cube right here. But how do I learn how to do it the fastest? I didn't know. And I was actually getting really stressed on how I can actually beat him. But then I realized something that I learned in my kickboxing. It's that you don't train everything the same. If you want to get good at the sport as a whole, you need to deconstruct it into smaller aspects. Such as when I'm training, I don't do everything at once. I'll spend one time focusing on my kicks, my punches, my counters, and my attacks all separately. So with the cube, I had to learn how to deconstruct it and deconstruct the process of solving it and focus on each point separately. This applies to anything, whether it's sport and you're deconstructing your athleticism, your skill, the types of skills, or a topic and you're deconstructing the different subtopics within the greater topic of what you're studying. So I knew that I should break it up and that I should time it 45 minutes a day. But what do I focus on? I mean, there's so many algorithms, so much to do, so much to learn. What do I focus on? This took me back to my Spanish class in year 7. At the time, we had an exam and I needed to learn a lot for the exam. I hadn't paid attention all year, but I used something called the Pareto Principle, which suggests that only 20% of your effort results in 80% of your results, and 80% of your results equals 20% of your effort. So I just needed to focus on the 20% that equals the 80. And so I would focus on that, such as the words that were the same in English and Spanish. Even though it was just one input of knowledge, it had such a great output. So when I was learning algorithms, I would capitalize on the algorithms that I found were the most common occurrence or that were the most useful, rather than just the little algorithms that came in once in a while. This also applies to anything you need to learn, especially exams, when you have to learn this small bit of information or this one formula that has so many questions connected to it. Or in a sport, when you have to learn one solid move that has a lot of different impacts. So while I was practicing, I had another issue, and that was that I felt like I was learning too much and not practicing enough. And so I actually didn't know what to do. And at the time, I had cricket training, and I remembered something that my coach had said to me during the training. He said, don't learn too much, just enough to self-correct. Now, I thought he was just waffling, so I tried on one of the algorithms. I learned the algorithm just enough for me to be able to self-correct if I made a mistake. I didn't know it off the top of my head, but I kept on replaying it. And surely enough, I was able to do it. And so now, I could spend the rest of the time practicing that and doing more practice on increasing my speed. I had everything. I knew what I wanted, I knew how long I had to do it for, and what to do. But like most people, I was procrastinating. I found it hard to focus on something, to even remind myself to do it. And at the time, I was scrolling on Instagram when I saw a reel that said, "You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." Now, obviously, I wasn't gonna trust some random Instagram reel, but it made me realize that we are heavily influenced by our surroundings. And so it would make a lot of sense that the people around me were affecting the way I act. Obviously, I wasn't gonna go find 5 people who did cubing, but I realized that simply by watching other people do it, or watching creators who did it, I was actually getting more motivated to do it. So I realized that to get more motivated to do something, you have to surround yourself with like-minded people, or people that are where you want to be. You can apply this especially to your work. If you want to get better at maths, maybe surround yourself with friends who are better at maths, or start watching videos of people who are good at maths. If you want to get better at sports, start watching more sports documentaries, or talking to more athletes, especially in your field. The final step was neuroplasticity. And there is simply so much to this that I can't fit it in one video. There is so much that we have done to fry our brains. Because of this, we decided that we were going to make a course that will help you get your brain back. If you're interested in that, check down below. So I had applied these and I stayed consistent to it. And by the end, I was hitting times faster than I could imagine. 20 seconds, 25 seconds. In fact, my best was 14 seconds. I was getting really good at it, and I decided to try this on many more skills. And I encourage you to do the same. The first step on anything is to just start. And as cliche as it sounds, we always avoid it. Procrastination is the greatest killer of success. And with this video, I challenge you to go and learn a new skill for 30 days. And if it's a waste of time, then come back and dislike this video. But I guarantee you, you won't regret it. If you want to learn how to stop making silly mistakes in your exams, then click this video here. Thank you for your time and use it wisely.